Okay, good evening, everyone. This is David Brown, call the meeting to order for the committee at 5:32. Roll call, myself, David Brown. Here.
Councilor.
Fire Chief Tim Driscoll. District President Ron Lewis.
Manager John Burke.
Thank you. Any communications? Only communications I received. No, okay, first order of business is the August 1st special meeting approval of the minutes. Yep. Quick review reviews minute. Motion, I'll second the motion. Any discussion on the approval of minutes? All in favor? Aye, motion carries. And the next item is to discuss the distribution policy. Yeah, go ahead.
The just distributed a revised version of the policy and spreadsheet. I'll try to remember to at least that has minutes, but I made a correction, found an error in the spreadsheet, which made that second section I needed an appendix A. And since last month, we've opened up actual policy. I pulled out the priority. I pulled out and created a section under D, policy priorities. You can see clearly what the policies are. I flip-flopped, I think it was 4 and 5, just because of the way the spreadsheet worked to match, yes, they were in order. And when section E is essentially everything we, as you know, under the appendix we have what each of these A, B through R is. Well, here they're also put in the policy itself, so it's a little bit easier to see, and sometimes there's a little more information there. And this first part, other than lettering a few of them, hasn't changed other than dropping out those sections. Anybody seen? Anybody have anything for this section? Errors?
I do like.
But then you don't have to, rather than just trying to read the small print, at least if there was a policy next to it. And I should have mentioned that I did have the town assessor review this. And thought it'd be no problem for her to track information. And thought it was a good policy. Moving on, nothing changed in the policy statement itself. Of course, really it's into the spreadsheet. If you open up the big appendix, say the tablet size distributed. First off, just to say where the changes are, I added the J that's yellow highlighted. Prior to the change today, if you went to down 2 lines and went over, received that like the negative 3,348.08, that was tying into H. That's the remaining balance. They hadn't deducted I yet. So you have to do, that's why the you have to deduct I and then based on J, the 77,000. Once that was changed and updated, everything works out at any amount you plug into the pilot. It all comes out even. Nice smooth spreadsheet. If we just want to go through it one more time for logic's sake through the formulas, just to, okay. When we're up to the top, this is from FYE 24. It's our budgeted amount for how much pilot state dollars we will be receiving. It's estimated it could be a little different than this, but we're estimating slightly over 1.5 million. Now for the policy, 50% of that is targeted for fire district. So there it's a little over 750,000. Just first line by times multiplied by 0.5. Dropping down to the second section, which I've titled, you also notice, I can't remember if I had this last, if I added little grouping section names. So under state revenue loss, you'll see first under each fire district, for instance, here, City of Groton is the first one. Tax exempt state assessed value. So you see what their assessed value is that they're missing out on from state properties. what value is missing, dividing that by 1,000 and multiplying by the mill rate gives you that 310,096, which is the state lost revenue. So if upfront, the state would pay 310,000 normally for those taxes. Now, the MRS offset is two of the municipalities, the Front Bridge and City of Groton get an offset from the state to make up for some of that loss. So you'll see two of them there. Most of the City of Groton, they received 72,896. So their ultimate revised revenue loss is 237,200. Chronic Bridge Fire only gets 15,000, under 16,000 for that MRS offset. Back just so you're not watching. The mutual revenue sharing, so it's a fund from the state, kind of similar, very similar to pilot going directly to those two districts. So you'll see that final line under C. That should indeed looks like there. Whatever there. Wondering. So the last part of that section, revenue loss, is the final numbers along the road.
Where we got written in state revenue law, no rate of set value. Should that be, not state revenue loss, but district revenue loss?
Well, it's state taxes.
I am.
So yeah, well, the assessor actually changed that one though. And she said that's the that they said. I kind of was.
I'm fine with it, but if you just read this, sounds like the state's losing money, doesn't it? State revenue law.
If you read the policy, though, it explains it further. Yeah.
Revised revenue law says it's letter D and after here.
Yeah.
It's
got
just,
down.
it's just
Yeah.
cut down.
Yeah. How that happened.
You move that up.
Well, just that part where it starts with revised revenue loss, it just needs some space added to that row. So it's not a real change.
Yeah, D's gotta come up.
Yeah, these gotta come up or the other down.
It just doesn't mess up all
Yeah.
the other letters
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah. Dropping down into the pilot cap portion of the formula, this is fire district payments and formula. First part is for policy, for priority one. We wanted to reward each of the districts that are providing mutual aid with $2,000 each. So that reflects this for a total of 14,000. And you will also notice that a good suggestion from Commissioner McBride that I added those priority numbers right next to where they start in that area. Then 50% of the revised revenue loss. That's taking this revised revenue loss from up in D, and 50% of that is this 50% revised revenue loss, because that's the part first part is to at least pay back and get 50%. That totals 658,684. You drop down to G, that just totals the 58,684. So we have a total of 672,684. So out of that original up at the top, the fire district pilot line 1092, we had 753,117. Of that so far then spent is 672,684. The next line under H is what's remaining after deducting that, which would be 80,433.
John, just one comment, maybe just a suggestion of column G, if those should be all recorded to the line. Very over. Because like for city products, negative 2,000, negative 118,000. Whatever should be negative.
I'd like the reason I did it this way, so people can look and see the actual number, what's being lost. And then because on those other ones, even the left one is a negative. So I figured, keep them the same all the way across. The left one, but whatever people prefer. It just made more sense to me for the layperson. But whatever you want. It just alters then some other things further down. We just have to go through and.
I guess my question is just, seems like that's a total, right?
Yeah.
Total of priority 1 and 2.
Yeah, it is a total priority one too.
Either way, just a,
The party, well, yeah,
either they should be all approved. All should not. You know, it's an opinion, it's not that important. Take it or leave it. So I didn't want to.
what do you think, Rachel, on that?
I know what you're saying. E plus
Cause I especially want R to be a real number.
E plus F. B.
Mhm.
Yeah, give us a thought, it's not.
I just like for people to get to know, this is the amount that's, you know, it gets confusing. Spreadsheet, you know, the way you do spreadsheet, yes, but for layperson, I think this.
You want to be positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So total remaining balance, 80,433. And we had the make whole 100% loss for the small districts. I needed to set a parameter for that though, because you have to have a rule before we didn't have a rule set for that. So I set it for $5,000. Because to do the spreadsheet, I have to have some parameter for an if-then statement. I think that looks like a pretty good one too. So they received of their revised revenue loss, they received through this, those small districts under 5,000 revenue, they received another 50% of their state. So they received the, like if you look at Mystic, they received the 2,000 for mutual aid. Originally, they were only gonna get 1,012 for the 50% revenue loss. Well, because they're a small district, this adds the other 1,000 all in. So it all totals up at the bottom to 4,000. It gives them an extra little over 1,000. So once those only total 3,111 for those small districts, leaving the remaining balance under J at 77,323.
Just another minor comment, just maybe an underscore under. Minor.
And then A is, and this was missing a letter before, I just changed that to A, it's just the percentage state owned property in each district, totals 100. You take that, you multiply it by 77,323 and J, and highlight it in the J column. That gives you, you do that for the larger districts that are above 5,000. That gives you 63,351. Once you use the 77,323 by that, have 13,972 remaining. And then for the
Just so I understand, I think I do. So for L, it's the percentage of taxes of state property, which is
right.
times each. Okay, so it's 4.33 times the 80,000.
Well, it has to be a 77.
Okay, so then it would be J,
Oh,
right? Is it J?
Yeah, that's J.
Line L.
Oh.
I think this may be something. So that's
J.
the 4.33 times the 77.
Yeah, J. Yeah, and then there's one. They had like 12 versions of spreadsheet. I keep resaying every time we make a major change. So anyways, you're paying out 63,351 in L, that leaves 13,972 per party. Four, you take those three larger districts and split it out evenly among them, so it's 2,329 each. That leaves, or remaining 50% of that amount is 6986, and per priority 5, that gets paid to the Groton fire officer. Well, if you drop down to 753,117, it actually totals all those numbers to the right in yellow plus the amount 6986 that Groton fire mutual. That also gets carried over there.
There a way we can show that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it says it under R, both in the policy and down here, that it, and the Groton fire officer.
What if, and just a suggestion, if this total equal, because usually, right, this total would equal.
No, you don't want the left, well, yeah, usually it would, yes, but it won't total 753. So what you would do then is total them and then add another line,
That's
total
exactly what I'm
P
saying.
and R.
What's that number, 6 something added here?
Yeah, whatever, 753,117, yeah, 6986.
I think that's good for the reader to see. Total state payments in fire district.
Right.
Well, this is
So
the
so
total,
just add another line.
yeah, make this,
I
make
understand
this
what
be
you
the
mean, yeah.
total, then
I got another.
No, just another line. So what you would do is before you add in the 6986, you'd first show the yellow total, which is just what the municipalities are getting. And then you'd add one more just for the 6986 to get that 750.
So you
We divide it into 2 lines. I'm doing it in one step there.
Yeah.
No.
Because my thought is the orange is 753.
Right.
Where it shows the 69. Nothing strict.
Right.
On fire.
And that's super easy to add that. For the thing.
yeah, nothing's wrong, it's just more easier.
Yeah, I agree with what you're doing.
The total is 750. I think this is a great document, great policy.
And I think I combined another step in there. You look at the percent state owned property under K. I could get on my computer to double check, but I think what we're actually doing there is that's what each individual one has. However, I'm sure about that. We'll take a 5 minute break.
Of course, yeah.
Or something. I have seen something.
Tom Burke wanted to get his computer to look at some of the numbers.
So the only thing is, if you look at L, it's taking K, like city Groton, K plus 33, and multiplying by J 77,323. Well, the numbers you're using don't total 100% there. It still works out if you do it that way, but the other way you can do it is, well, you took out the 1705 and the 108. If you took 100%, reduced it by 18.13, and essentially, you could do a ratio of, you could do a different ratio using, kind of creating a new 100% by using just those numbers.
Maybe,
It's,
I see what you're saying. Maybe you can just insert a row between J and K. And the 4.33. It's a
Correct,
percentage of
right.
any of those.
And it doesn't change anything below, it's just a different way of doing it.
Well, that's a good point. Kind of misleading.
Yes, because it's really not 100%. And one of my versions did have that, so you can just take it out or put it back in.
That makes sense for everyone? Yeah, of course.
So the percentages, the way they were able was Mark Ridge is never going to be made whole. Because the amount of loss that we have, that percent is what of all the state properties are in Mark Ridge. So when line L is being utilizing that 72% the actual number of what is in Mark Ridge.
If you do it that way, we want to note saying we're not going to use the percentages from small district.
Well, you're not, because like Center Groton has 17%. But if you look above them, you've already made that whole.
Right.
So that percentage doesn't even play a part in Center Groton, because they were made whole. That percentage, that's what it was. It was make sure that no one profited the moment you were made whole.
Yeah.
You stopped in that, so if you change those percentages,
They increase the pay.
which still, it's only a slight change, it was still, formula still work. It's still, it doesn't change, it's still fine, it's just which way you think you wanna do it.
No, I think you have to leave it the way it is.
But I wanna note that we're not doing any multiplication of all salaries.
But you want to leave it the way it is. There was any state. Evidence with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why it would be a separate line, you'd always want all these numbers. Then for some reason, if the values in CGFD went up, they would start getting bigger money. So I think you just want to note that we're not all district.
I think where that number would happen is, so Old Mystic with the oral school, that's state-owned property.
Right.
If that gets sold out, that becomes now public property, so their percentage would go down. And everyone else's percentage would go up, if you're lowering the town, the state-owned property within the town, so that number would go down. So on a bridge, let's say at 72% would actually go up a little bit, all gonna. That's why it was good by using the percentages when we started talking about it. And the effect is not an effect of cost of work, doing this thing, all the same. You have to recalculate it.
What is the variance we're looking at?
Where you looking at?
That's a total. I think that's just wrong.
It's a number because some of these.
There's just some odd, like if you actually round them differently. Just have.
Concern.
What we're saying is that's, you
I
can do it
understand it's
differently.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. How much is?
Well, that's not.
Dollar.
There's no way to adjust this though, because the way that unless you use different parameters for math, if you do rounding in each, this is what they are. So unless you start cutting off at one digit.
I think you made a good point on it. Little mystic of that person, better off to use the way it's. Keep it as is, but no it.
Yeah, I think you put no, small districts, the under 5,000 are not being used in this calculation. Fine, this is a valid way to do it. So,
The difference would be, if you did it the other way, then the 13,000 number would be less.
Right.
You'd be giving less. You, at the end of the day, 50%.
I think this is.
That's fine.
The percentages, the information from GIS is down to the tenth of a mile. So someone be just up a little bit or up, and that's what that little percentage.
There was a series of them that just went over like 0.5, so it jumps to the next percent, Yeah. I want to make sure I understand which changes so far. So just to go back through under revised laws, MOP up. Under L, I got to change H to J. Got to make a note under A about the small districts not being used. I need to add a line. So for we'll add a R will become the orange part of R will become S, and then
I'm sorry. Right, so K, it's not all district used. Made whole.
well, they fall under 5. It's all about falling under 5,000. Yeah, which is the make whole ones. They are the make whole ones. So the 753,117 will basically be unto itself as, and whereas the currently placed one would become just a total of all those to the right.
Or would be
I will be the yellows
It would
and
be 160. S would be. He will be there.
Well, what we have for R, we're just gonna fill all the yellow ones.
Yeah, so call that 160.
Well, it's
600.
it's just shy of 750, it's in the 700s. You look at all the.
I got you. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And then you have, then you make the note that for S, you're combining, P with, R. In R will total the amount, our officers from P, that amount, plus the yellow total equal to that one.
I see. So just a question. Should this yellow line of ground fire officer?
Yeah, it'll come right below, you know what, I might just make balance the yellow one. Well, it just shows that you've used up all the money. I would probably put R just above, right below balance within the box. You know, I'll expand that box, because we want us to be standalone with you.
But then you're gonna add the 6986.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm. Right along with the yellow, right in the same line.
Let me just get this straight. You're gonna have O, which shows basically the balance.
Right, so it's given then to P. Front fire officer.
Which honestly. Not being distributed across.
Easy to add a line to just clarify.
Right, so you're gonna have O, and then what are you gonna have?
All the way through Q doesn't change. R will pop up of the box, right below balance. You'll see all the totals, and this will be the, you know, this will be 6,986 less than the 753, 117. And then you'll have, and then you are just saying, we're gonna take, essentially that number and add it to the, remaining balance. So I'd probably say O plus, R, probably. It goes fast. All you're doing is adding up the yellows. Take 753 to this. What's 753, 117 minus 696?
No, I get what you're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
I get what you're doing. All spreadsheet. All those we get it.
Mhm.
It's not like we're doing spreadsheet. This is what they're getting at. A total of orange, that's why it's recommended state payment that you have.
Right.
Yes.
But visually, it'll do them into it a little quicker by adding that. It works.
Okay, all right, I can't envision it. Here for
Yeah. And literally change take R and just move it up under K, so it's in the same box. You're just totaling whatever those yellow ones equal, it'll be a yellow box now. Maybe bold,
And
you
then
know,
S,
and then,
so all these yellows will go up top.
R's just gonna move up, R's gonna remain R, it's just gonna move up to the top, bottom of that box. It's in its own box right now, it's gonna join under balance. It'll be QR at the bottom. So R is just totaling the yellows, which is 6,986, reduced from the 753, 117.
And then
So that will say, instead of 753, 117, it'll be yellow, and it'll say 746, 151. And then S below will be the total of just the 753, 117, and the explanation will be it's taking O and R. It's just the total going to the municipalities plus the total going to the fire officers station equals the total amount being paid.
So it's like a summary recap.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
It's policy. Good to go.
Yeah, it's a good format.
yeah, it just has. Guys, anything that
The only one issue that the perception that something would happen is the 24 budgets.
Right, a couple of them will go down. I think possibly three. So compared to the years before, if you look at 2003, I think one goes down, but not by much.
Only one would go down because I like added to this, is what it is currently. And everyone's.
Everybody's made whole.
I think there's one that's still,
The West Pleasant Valley.
Yeah.
They were-
yeah, there's still one slightly down.
Process.
Yeah.
What will be next steps?
Well, if you want to bring it back, you just want to recommend the
I wanna
changes.
make more, you just make your, these are very minor,
Yeah. it's easy.
everything's, we all understand, it's
Yeah.
just that, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like. Hi.
Finding what goes.
Probably the first meeting in September, and obviously late August, that's the ninth meeting, so I'd say the first house. Monday, 11, because of the primary. That's not happening.
September 11th.
September 11th, Monday, September 11th.
Man, oh, man, okay. Right,
And our
I mean,
calendar
it'd
now.
be good, it would be good, it was.
it is fitting, why?
You're gonna be able to be there for that? Do you need us for anything?
If anything, I would say maybe at the first council, either send them just a look email to the council, or if you want to see some of the public comment, they're in favor of it. Yeah, and in the packet for the agenda, I'll include the letter from the fire departments again, I'll say it. Because it hasn't, I don't think it's changed significantly since, formula is basically all the same.
Yeah, there's still a long support from us. You know, we had. Definitely.
To the council.
Yeah.
Else? Adjourn? Any questions? All in favor? One motion. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you again for all your work.
Thank you.